The Galactic Ban. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the UES Prometheus, Earth's most advanced warship, as it glided silently through the inky void of space. The ship's sleek, obsidian hull seemed to absorb the very starlight around it, a testament to its stealth capabilities. Chen's eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the myriad of holographic displays surrounding her command chair. "Status report," she ordered, her voice calm but authoritative. Her first officer, Commander Ramirez, responded promptly. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the Galactic Council space station. ETA 10 minutes. Chen nodded, a mix of pride and apprehension churning in her stomach. Today was the day humanity would unveil the Prometheus to the Galactic Council, a confederation of advanced alien races that had, until recently, regarded humans as little more than clever primates. The Prometheus was meant to change all that, to showcase humanity's rapid technological advancements and secure their place among the stars. As the Prometheus approached the massive wheel-shaped space station that served as the seat of the Galactic Council, Chen couldn't help but marvel at its size. The station dwarfed her ship, its gleaming silver surface adorned with pulsing blue energy conduits and dotted with countless viewports. "We're being hailed, Captain," the communications officer announced. "On screen," Chen replied, straightening her uniform. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien face of Sandor, the Arcturian representative to the Council. His silvery skin and large, opalescent eyes regarded Chen with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. "Greetings, Captain Chen," Xandor said, his translator converting his harmonious tones into English. "The Council awaits your presentation. You may dock in Bay 17. The screen went dark, and Chen took a deep breath. "Well, let's not keep them waiting. Helm, take us in." The Prometheus glided gracefully into the assigned docking bay, its advanced propulsion system allowing for a precision that drew admiring glances from the alien dock workers. As Chen and her team disembarked, they were met by a delegation of council representatives. The council chamber was a vast, circular room, its high ceiling adorned with a holographic representation of the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of alien races occupied tiered seating, their murmurs creating a low hum of anticipation. Chen stood at the center, flanked by her chief engineer and weapons officer. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Chen began, her voice steady. "On behalf of the United Earth Government, I present to you the UES Prometheus, the pinnacle of human engineering and a symbol of our commitment to galactic peace and security." With a gesture, Chen activated a holographic display of the Prometheus. As she detailed its capabilities, from its advanced AI core to its revolutionary quantum entanglement communication system, she noticed a shift in the atmosphere. The initial looks of polite interest were slowly replaced by expressions of concern, even fear. When Chen reached the weapons systems, the chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Prometheus boasted graviton cannons capable of collapsing small moons, a temporal displacement field that could age entire fleets to dust, and a singularity drive that could tear holes in the very fabric of spacetime. Zarkon, the Vexillian representative, rose to his feet, his tentacles quivering with agitation. This is an abomination. You speak of peace, yet you create a weapon of unparalleled destruction." Chen tried to interject, to explain that the Prometheus was meant as a deterrent, a safeguard against the unknown threats lurking in the unexplored regions of space. But her words were drowned out by the growing uproar. Xandor called for order, his resonant voice cutting through the chaos. "Captain Chen, while we acknowledge humanity's technological achievement, the Council cannot condone the existence of such a weapon. The power you wield could destabilize the entire galaxy." What followed was hours of heated debate. Chen and her team argued passionately for the Prometheus, emphasizing humanity's responsible use of technology and their desire to contribute to galactic security. But fear had taken root among the council members. As the session drew to a close, Xandor delivered the council's verdict. It is the decision of this council that the UES Prometheus and any future human warships of similar design are hereby banned from operation in Galactic Council space. Furthermore, we require that the technology used in its creation be surrendered to the Council for safekeeping. Chen stood in stunned silence, the weight of the Council's decision crashing down upon her. Years of work, the hopes and dreams of countless scientists and engineers, all dismissed out of fear and mistrust. As Chen and her team were escorted back to the Prometheus, the captain's mind raced. She knew that Earth would not take this ruling lying down. The ban would be seen as a direct challenge to human sovereignty, a denial of their right to self-defense. Aboard the Prometheus, Chen addressed her crew, their faces a mixture of anger and disbelief. "This isn't over," she declared, her voice filled with determination. "The Council may fear our potential, but they've just proven why we need ships like the Prometheus. We'll return to Earth, but mark my words, this is only the beginning." As the Prometheus disengaged from the station and set a course for Earth, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to enter a new era, one where humanity would have to fight for its place among the stars, whether the Council liked it or not. Little did Chen know that far beyond the borders of Council space, a threat was stirring. A force so destructive, so implacable, that it would soon make the Council regret their decision to shackle humanity's potential. The true test of the Prometheus and humanity's resolve was yet to come, and the fate of the galaxy would hang in the balance. The unforeseen threat. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council's ban on human warships. Captain Sarah Chen sat in her office at the United Earth Defense Headquarters, poring over reports from the frontier. The mood on Earth had soured since the Council's decision, with many calling for humanity to withdraw from galactic affairs altogether. But Chen knew isolation wasn't the answer. But urgent comm alert interrupted her thoughts. "Captain Chen, you're needed in the war room immediately," came the voice of Admiral Koga, her superior. Chen rushed to the war room, her mind racing. As she entered, she found it buzzing with activity. Officers huddled around holographic displays, their faces etched with concern. Admiral Koga, a stern-faced woman with streaks of gray in her dark hair, nodded to Chen. "Captain, we've got a situation. Take a look at this." The main screen lit up with footage from a distant outpost on the edge of Council space. Chen watched in horror as strange, biomechanical ships tore through the outpost's defenses like paper. The alien vessels seemed to absorb energy weapons, growing stronger with each hit. "What are we looking at, Admiral?" Chen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We're calling them the Swarm," Koga replied grimly. "They appeared out of nowhere 3 days ago. Since then, they've overrun 7 Council worlds and destroyed countless ships." Chen's mind reeled. "Has the Council requested our help?" Koga's laugh was bitter. "They're too proud, but they're also desperate. Look at this." Another video played, showing a massive Council fleet engaging the Swarm. Despite outnumbering the invaders, the Council ships were being systematically destroyed. Their weapons seemed ineffective against the Swarm's adaptive hulls. "My God," Chen breathed. "They're being slaughtered." "Exactly," Koga nodded. "And at this rate, the Swarm will reach Earth in less than a month." Chen's eyes narrowed. "The Prometheus. Its weapons cooled." "I know what you're thinking, Captain," Koga interrupted. "But the ban is still in effect. If we deploy the Prometheus, we'd be in violation of galactic law." "With all due respect, Admiral," Chen countered, her voice rising. "If we don't act, there might not be a galaxy left to uphold any laws." The room fell silent, all eyes on Chen and Koga. The tension was palpable as the two women stared each other down. Finally, Koga sighed. "You're right, of course, but this decision is above my pay grade. We need to convince the World Council." The next few hours were a whirlwind of briefings and debates. Chen presented the evidence to Earth's leaders, arguing passionately for intervention. The opposition was fierce, with many arguing that this was the Council's problem, not Earth's. As the debate raged on, more reports flooded in. The swarm had breached the Council's inner defenses. Entire species were being wiped out or enslaved to serve as biological components for the ever-growing swarm fleet. In the end, it was a transmission from Xandor that tipped the scales. The once proud Arcturian appeared on screen, his silvery skin pallid, his eyes filled with desperation. "People of Earth," he began, his voice trembling. "I speak to you now not as a member of the Galactic Council, but as a representative of all sentient life in our galaxy. We were wrong to fear your potential. We were blind to the true threats that lurk in the dark between stars. I humbly ask, no, I beg for your help. You may be our last hope." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. The room was silent for a long moment before the World Council President spoke. "Captain Chen," she said, her voice solemn, "you have authorization to deploy the Prometheus and any other assets you deem necessary. May God have mercy on us all." Chen wasted no time. Within hours, she was back aboard the Prometheus, overseeing final preparations. The ship hummed with energy, its crew a mix of determination and fear. As they prepared to depart, Chen addressed her crew. "I won't lie to you," she began, her voice carrying throughout the ship. "We're facing an enemy unlike any humanity has encountered before. The odds are against us, and many would say this isn't our fight. But I say this, if we stand by and watch as entire civilizations are erased, if we hide while the galaxy burns, then we forsake our very humanity. We go now not just to save ourselves, but to prove that humanity's strength lies not in our weapons, but in our hearts and our will to stand against the darkness. Whatever comes, we face it together." A cheer went up from the crew, their voices united in purpose. Chen felt a swell of pride as she gave the order. "Helm, set course for the Arcturus system. Maximum speed. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can do." As the Prometheus streaked into hyperspace, Chen couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and dread. They were about to face an enemy that had brought the mightiest fleets in the galaxy to their knees. But they also had a chance to change the course of history, to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. Little did Chen know that this battle would be just the beginning. The true nature of the swarm and the terrible choice that lay ahead for humanity would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The crucible of war was about to forge a new destiny for Earth and its people, one that would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. Humanity's defiance. The Prometheus dropped out of hyperspace on the outskirts of the Arcturus system, the site of humanity's last stand against the swarm. Captain Chen's eyes widened at the sight before her. The once bustling system was a graveyard of shattered ships and ruined worlds. "My God," whispered Commander Ramirez, his face ashen. "We're too late." Chen's jaw clenched. "No, we're not. Scan for life signs, any survivors." As the crew worked feverishly, a weak transmission crackled through the comms. "This is Xandor of the Arcturian Resistance. Any ships receiving this, please respond." Chen leaped into action. "Xandor, this is Captain Chen of the UES Prometheus. We're here to help. What's your situation?" The relief in Xandor's voice was palpable. "Captain Chen, you came. We've retreated to the third moon of Arcturus Prime. The swarm, they're unlike anything we've ever faced. Our weapons are useless." "Hold on, Xandor," Chen assured him. "We're on our way." As the Prometheus approached the moon, they got their first real look at the swarm. Massive, insectoid ships swarmed around the battered remnants of the Council fleet. Their biomechanical hulls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, absorbing and adapting to every attack thrown their way. Chen's tactical officer, Lieutenant Wang, spoke up. "Captain, I've analyzed their attack patterns. They seem to operate on a hive mind principle. If we can locate and neutralize the command ship, we might be able to disorient the entire fleet." Chen nodded. "Good work, Lieutenant. Now, let's show them what the Prometheus can do. Charge the graviton cannons and prepare the temporal displacement field. The Prometheus surged forward, its advanced stealth systems allowing it to slip past the outer defenses of the swarm. As they closed in on what appeared to be the command ship, a colossal, pulsating mass at the heart of the fleet, Chen gave the order. Fire graviton cannons, full spread. Beams of concentrated gravitational energy lanced out from the Prometheus, warping spacetime itself. Swarm ships caught in the barrage imploded, crushed by the overwhelming gravitational forces. For a moment, the swarm seemed to falter, confused by this new threat, but their adaptation was swift. The command ship pulsed, and suddenly the remaining swarm vessels began to emit a counter-gravitational field. "They're adapting," shouted Wang. "Graviton cannons are losing effectiveness." Chen gritted her teeth, switched to temporal displacement. "Target their propulsion systems." The air shimmered around the Prometheus as it projected a field of accelerated time. Swarm ships caught in its effect aged rapidly, their biomechanical components breaking down in seconds. But the swarm's response was terrifying. The command ship released a pulse of energy that seemed to bend reality itself. Suddenly, the temporal effects were reflected back at the Prometheus. Warning klaxons blared as the ship's systems began to age rapidly. "Temporal shielding failing." "Cry out," the engineer. "We can't take much more of this." Chen's mind raced. They had underestimated the swarm's ability to adapt. Conventional tactics, even with their advanced technology, weren't going to be enough. That's when inspiration struck. "All power to the singularity drive," she ordered. "Helm, take us straight at the command ship." "Captain?" Ramirez questioned, shock evident in his voice. "Trust me," Chen said, her eyes fixed on the massive swarm vessel looming before them. "On my mark, initiate a micro-jump. Wang, the moment we re-enter normal space, fire everything we've got at the command ship's core." The Prometheus accelerated towards the heart of the swarm fleet, weapons fire streaking past them. The command ship, sensing the threat, began to concentrate its fire on the human vessel. "Now," Chen shouted. In a burst of impossible energies, the Prometheus vanished, only to reappear an instant later inside the swarm command ship's defensive perimeter. Before the swarm could react, the Prometheus unleashed its full arsenal. Graviton beams, temporal fields, and exotic particle weapons all converged on a single point. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash that lit up the entire system, a microscopic black hole flickered into existence at the heart of the swarm command ship. The effect was catastrophic. The command ship imploded, torn apart by irresistible gravitational forces. As it collapsed, it unleashed a psychic scream that rippled through the entire swarm fleet. Suddenly, the once coordinated armada fell into chaos. Ships collided with one another, their movements erratic and panicked. "It worked," Ramirez exclaimed. "The hive mind is disrupted." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Signal the survivors. It's time to counterattack." What followed was a pitched battle unlike any in galactic history. The remaining council ships, emboldened by the Prometheus' success, joined the fight with renewed vigor. Together, they methodically destroyed the disoriented swarm vessels. Hours later, as the last of the swarm ships were being mopped up, Chen received a transmission from Sandor. The Arcturian's face was a mix of awe and gratitude. "Captain Chen," he began, his voice thick with emotion. The entire galaxy owes you a debt that can never be repaid. You've saved us all." Chen shook her head. "This victory belongs to all of us, Xandor. But our work isn't done. The swarm will be back, and we need to be ready." Xandor nodded solemnly. "You're right, of course. And I promise you, the Council's stance on human technology will change. We need your innovation, your courage, if we're to survive what's coming." As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her crew. Their faces were tired but proud. They had faced an impossible enemy and emerged victorious. But Chen knew this was just the beginning. "Well done, everyone," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "But let's not celebrate just yet. We've won the battle, but the war has only just begun." As the Prometheus set course for Earth, carrying news of their victory and the grave threat that still loomed, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Humanity had proven its worth, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited them in the vast, unforgiving expanse of the galaxy? The answers to these questions would shape the destiny of not just humanity, but of all sentient life in the cosmos. The true test of their resolve was yet to come: the turning tide. In the months following the Battle of Arcturus, the galaxy underwent a radical transformation. The Prometheus's victory had not only saved countless lives, but had also reshaped the political landscape of the Galactic Council. Humanity, once viewed with suspicion and fear, was now hailed as the savior of civilization. Captain Sarah Chen found herself at the center of this paradigm shift. As she stood before the newly reformed Galactic Defense Council, she couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed. "Captain Chen," Xandor began, his voice resonating through the chamber, "your actions have proven that humanity's potential is not something to be feared, but to be embraced. We humbly request Earth's full participation in the defense of our galaxy." Chen nodded solemnly. "Earth stands ready to do its part, Counselor. But we must act quickly. The swarm will return, and in greater numbers." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's shipyards worked around the clock, producing a fleet of warships based on the Prometheus design. Meanwhile, Chen led a task force to integrate human technology with that of other council races, creating hybrid systems that were more adaptable and resilient. But even as they prepared, the swarm struck again. This time, they attacked simultaneously across multiple sectors. Their tactics evolved and more brutal than ever. Chen found herself once again on the bridge of the Prometheus, leading a mixed fleet of human and alien ships against a swarm invasion force in the Orion sector. The battle was fierce, with losses mounting on both sides. "Captain," Lieutenant Wang called out, his voice tense, "the swarm ships are employing some kind of quantum entanglement field. Our targeting systems can't get a lock." Chen's mind raced. The swarm's ability to adapt was proving to be their greatest asset. But then, an idea struck her. "Wang, what if we use that entanglement against them? Reconfigure our quantum comms to emit a disruptive pulse on their frequency." Wang's fingers flew over his console. "Brilliant, Captain. It might just work." As the pulse was emitted, the effect was immediate. Swarm ships began to falter, their movements becoming erratic. The Allied fleet pressed their advantage, tearing into the confused enemy forces. This scene repeated itself across the galaxy as other human commanders shared Chen's tactics. Slowly but surely, the tide of war began to turn. The swarm, for all their adaptability, couldn't match the combined ingenuity of the galaxy's diverse species. Months turned into years as the war raged on. The swarm, realizing they could no longer rely on technological superiority alone, changed tactics. They began targeting civilian populations, hoping to demoralize their opponents. It was during one such attack on a Vexillian colony that Chen made a startling discovery. As the Prometheus led the defense of the planet, they'd managed to capture a damaged swarm ship. What they found inside shook Chen to her core. The ship wasn't piloted by some alien species, but by assimilated members of races they had encountered before. The swarm wasn't just an invading force. It was a parasitic entity that consumed and repurposed entire civilizations. This revelation changed the nature of the war. It was no longer just about survival, but about saving countless enslaved beings. The challenge now was how to defeat the swarm without destroying those they had assimilated. Chen presented her findings to the Defense Council. "We need to shift our focus," she argued passionately. "If we can find a way to disrupt the swarm's control over its assimilated members, we might be able to turn them against their masters." The council agreed, and a new initiative was launched. The brightest minds from across the galaxy were brought together to work on a solution. Progress was slow and fraught with setbacks, but gradually they began to make headway. Meanwhile, the war continued to rage. Chen and the Prometheus were at the forefront of nearly every major engagement. They had become symbols of hope, their very presence rallying Allied forces to victory time and again. It was during a lull in the fighting that Chen received news that would change everything. Dr. Eva Santos, a brilliant xenobiologist and Chen's old academy friend, had made a breakthrough. Sarah, Ava's excited voice came through the comm. "We've done it. We'd found a way to break the swarm's control. It's a biosynthetic virus that targets the swarm's neural network without harming the host bodies." Chen felt a surge of hope. "That's incredible, Ava, but how do we deploy it?" Ava's voice turned serious. "That's the tricky part. It needs to be released at the heart of the swarm's main hive. We've located it in the Cygnus X1 system, but it's suicide to get that close." Chen finished, understanding the implications. As Chen mulled over this information, an alert blared through the ship. A massive swarm fleet had been detected, heading straight for Earth. This was it, the final push. Chen knew what had to be done. They had to end this war now, or risk losing everything. She set course for Earth, her mind already formulating a plan. As the Prometheus joined the gathering defense fleet, Chen addressed not just her crew, but all the Allied forces. "We stand at the precipice," she began, her voice carried across thousands of ships. "Before us lies the greatest challenge we have ever faced, but we also have our greatest opportunity. We have the means to not just defeat the swarm, but to free those they've enslaved. The path ahead is dangerous, and many of us may not return. But I ask you now, not as your superior officer, but as a fellow sentient being, will you join me in this final battle, not just for our survival, but for the freedom of all life in our galaxy?" The response was unanimous. Cheers and affirmations flooded the comms from ships of every race and civilization. As the massive swarm fleet appeared on the edge of the solar system, Chen felt a mix of fear and determination. This was the moment that would define not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The final battle was about to begin, and the fate of countless billions hung in the balance. With a deep breath, Chen gave the order. "All ships, battle stations. For Earth, for freedom, for the galaxy." The greatest battle in galactic history was about to unfold, with Captain Sarah Chen and the Prometheus at its heart. The future of all sentient life would be decided in the next few hours, and Chen was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. A new galactic order. The vastness of space erupted into a dazzling spectacle of destruction as the Allied fleet engaged the swarm. The Sol system became a crucible of chaos, with Earth's blue marble serving as a poignant backdrop to the desperate struggle. Captain Sarah Chen stood resolute on the bridge of the Prometheus, her eyes darting between tactical displays as she coordinated the defense. The plan was audacious. While the main fleet kept the swarm occupied, a small strike team led by the Prometheus would punch through to the heart of the enemy armada, where the swarm's main high ship lurked. "All ships, initiate attack pattern Omega," Chen commanded, her voice steady despite the stakes. The Allied fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their movements a testament to the unity forged through years of hardship and shared struggle. The battle raged with an intensity that defied description. Swarm bioships clashed with the sleek vessels of the Alliance, energy weapons crisscrossing the void. Explosions blossomed silently in the vacuum, each one representing countless lives lost in an instant. As the Prometheus and its escort ships drove deeper into the heart of the swarm fleet, the resistance grew fiercer. Chen gritted her teeth as the ship shuddered under heavy fire. "Shields at 30%, Captain," shouted Lieutenant Wang. "We can't take much more of this." Chen's mind raced. They were so close, but the swarm's defenses seemed impenetrable. That's when inspiration struck. "Divert all power to the singularity drive," she ordered. We're going to open a wormhole right into the hive ship." The crew looked at her in shock, but quickly moved to comply. The Prometheus's engines whined as they channeled impossible amounts of energy. "Now," Chen shouted. Space itself seemed to scream as it was torn asunder. A swirling vortex of energy erupted before them, its maw leading directly into the cavernous interior of the swarm hive ship. "All ships, follow us in," Chen commanded as the Prometheus plunged into the wormhole. They emerged into a nightmarish biomechanical landscape. The interior of the hive ship was a twisted maze of pulsating flesh and cold metal. Swarm drones swarmed towards them, but the Allied ships were ready. "Deploy the virus," Chen ordered. Canisters were launched throughout the hive ship, releasing Dr. Santos' biosynthetic virus. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, chaos erupted. Swarm drones began to falter, their movements becoming erratic. Some turned on each other, while others simply collapsed. The hive ship itself shuddered, as if in pain. But the Swarm Queen, the central intelligence controlling the entire invasion, wasn't going down without a fight. A massive, grotesque form emerged from the depths of the ship, its multiple limbs lashing out at the intruders. "All ships, concentrate fire on the Queen," Chen shouted. The ensuing battle was unlike anything Chen had ever experienced. The Queen's psychic assaults battered their minds, while its physical attacks threatened to tear their ships apart. But the Allied forces fought on, their resolve unbreakable. In a final, desperate move, Chen made a decision that would alter the course of history. "Ava," she called over the comm to her friend aboard one of the escort ships, "I need you to overload the virus. Make it powerful enough to sever the Queen's connection to the hive mind completely." "But Sarah," Ava protested, "that level of psychic backlash could affect everyone here, including us." Chen closed her eyes, knowing the weight of her next words. "It's a risk we have to take. Do it." As Ava worked feverishly to modify the virus, Chen led the assault on the Queen. The Prometheus, battered and scarred, unleashed everything it had left. Graviton beams, temporal fields, and conventional weapons all converged on the monstrous entity. Just as it seemed they might falter, Ava's voice crackled over the comm. "It's done, Sarah. Deploying now." A wave of energy pulsed outward from Ava's ship, washing over everything in its path. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Queen writhed in agony, its psychic screams threatening to overwhelm them all. Chen felt her own mind being torn apart, assaulted by the death throes of the hive mind. And then, silence. As the dust settled, Chen looked out upon a scene of utter transformation. The swarm ships outside had gone dormant, their pilots freed from the Queen's control. Within the hive ship, former swarm drones lay unconscious, their bodies slowly reverting to their original forms. They had done it. The swarm was defeated. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of activity. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across the galaxy. But for Chen and the others who had been at the heart of the final battle, the joy was tempered by the enormity of the task that lay ahead. Billions of beings had to be rehabilitated, their bodies and minds healed from the swarm's influence. Planets lay in ruins, entire ecosystems destroyed. The galaxy had been fundamentally changed by the war, and building a lasting peace would be a challenge unlike any other. 1 month after the final battle, Captain Sarah Chen stood once again before the Galactic Council. But this time, she wasn't alone. Representatives from every race and civilization stood with her, including many who had been freed from the swarm. Xandor, his form still bearing scars from the conflict, addressed the assembly. "We stand here today, not as separate races, but as a united galaxy. The war has shown us that our strength lies not in isolation, but in unity. And none exemplify this more than humanity and Captain Chen." Chen stepped forward, her voice carrying across the chamber. "The challenges we face are immense, but so is our potential. We must forge a new galactic order, one built on mutual respect, shared knowledge, and a commitment to protecting all sentient life." Her words resonated with everyone present. In the following years, a new era of galactic cooperation dawned. The United Galactic Alliance was formed, with Earth playing a central role. Chen, hailed as the hero of the war, was appointed as the first human to serve on the Alliance's governing council. But even as she worked tirelessly to build this new future, Chen never forgot the cost of their victory. A memorial was erected in the Sol system, bearing the names of every ship and every being lost in the conflict. It served as a constant reminder of the price of freedom and the importance of vigilance. As Chen stood before the memorial one day, gazing out at the stars, she reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From being feared and mistrusted to becoming the saviors of the galaxy, humanity had come so far. But she knew their greatest adventures and greatest challenges still lay ahead. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was now poised to explore it alongside their new allies. Whatever the future held, Chen knew one thing for certain. They would face it together, united in their diversity, stronger for their differences. As she turned to leave, Chen smiled. The ban on human warships seemed like a distant memory now. Humanity had proven itself not through the strength of its weapons, but through the strength of its spirit. And that, she realized, was the greatest victory of all. The stars beckoned, promising new horizons and new challenges. And humanity, along with its galactic allies, was ready to answer the call.